I was reading the Bible yesterday, and let me start from the beginning. Dear believer, I was reading the Bible yesterday in my devotion, and I came across this verse that stood out for me. A couple of verses that stood out for me, and in my mind, I was like, just thinking about it. I've been thinking about it all day since yesterday and today too. I'm just ruminating on it. And then I heard this song by Lawrence Oyo, Only You, and you need to go listen to that song. But essentially, it's like it really sunk in, it's me, the verse. So let me just share it. So basically, for context sake, what happens here is that this is Acts 17, and Paul is in Athens, in Greece, and he's there to preach the gospel. He's moved around a bit, and now he arrives at Athens to preach the gospel. And when he gets there, he sees that they have a different culture, and now he wants to preach to them, but he wants to not just, force God's word onto them. He has to bring it in a light, because previously, in preaching to the gospel, he has been preaching to Jews. So, and when he preaches to Jews, what he just does is, because they already had the Torah, which they believed in. So they believed in, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They already believed that. But the question was, is Jesus the Christ? And so he was able to preach to them from that perspective. And you see that in Hebrews. But when he gets to these people are not, they are Gentiles. So they don't believe in your Torah. You understand? They believe they are gods, but they don't believe, in the one and only God. So you have to then present the gospel to them in a way they can relate to. And so he was like, I've been to your side and I've seen different kind of gods you guys have. And you have one particular God. Like, we finished checking out all the gods that we are aware of. So in case there's one left, so he puts it to an unknown God. Now said, and he uses that as an entrance. So I'm just giving context, but he said something which is very interesting in Acts 17 from verse 25. So I'll just read it briefly. But God, who made the world and everything in it, since he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is he worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything, since he gives to all life, breath, and all things. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might group for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live, move, and have our being. And it goes on and on. But essentially, it basically says that this unknown God you are talking about, if you agree that God made the heavens and the earth, then he cannot live in a place made by your mere hands. That is, you cannot control your creator, you cannot contain him or determine how your creator will look. Rather, it's the other way around. And this is the logic he uses to preach to them and gets many people saved. But what I wanted to bring out was when he talked about something here that just, brings out God's love from verse 25. Now, is he worship in men's hands as though he needed anything, since he gives to all life, bread, and all things. So it makes it clear that God doesn't need anything. Like, he doesn't need anything means anything. He doesn't need man, he doesn't need your service, he doesn't need your tithe, he doesn't need everything. But he says something. Well, he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and boundaries of their dwellings, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope for him and find him, though he's not far from each one of us, which is weird because. So he goes on to say that God has done all these things, despite the amazing fact that he doesn't need he doesn't need us. He goes through all this stress, makes the world, makes predestined time when someone will be born, where they will go, this and that, and everything, and just orchestrating destinies and lives and everything. So it's someone that doesn't need anything and going through all this stress is weird. But then he goes on to say that he does all these things in the hope that they might grow for him and find him. Now it's crazy because that's what I've just been thinking about. So he's done all these things in the hope that we will look for him. In the hope. It's like he's not even sure. Like, you give all this investment and you will think, oh, okay. Then it's like, if they don't do this, then they're definitely going to hell. No, it's like, in the hope, I'm going to do all these things I don't need to do, just in the hope. It's crazy though. And then, you know what growth means? Everybody knows, like, aggressively press. So you're aggressively searching. Like when they group you, like the security group you, when you're at the airport or something, and they just grope you. You're aggressively searching. So if you're groping, you're looking for possibilities. So it's not like you know where it is and you're going to press, just search. You're checking everywhere. That okay, if possibly I find something. And that's very haphazard, very would I say random for lack of better word. And you can imagine God banking everything on that. It's like, okay, have you ever been in love? Like, me, I know. I won't say exactly is in love, but like, when you really like someone, and then you're like, bro, I mean, nowadays, because of regular breakfast that everybody has gotten at some point, everybody's kind of scared. And so we take things, slow and cautious. We want to be very sure that this person is not just playing us, you get. So, at least most people you don't sell out everything at once, because sometimes you find out that when you give everything to someone and don't put up some resistance, they take you for granted, So we just try to have those barriers and everything. But you just imagine what happened here. So the idea is that God was like, nah, like that's BS. Like nah, I'm just going to throw it out there. And the funniest thing is that it doesn't do this. It's like, when you see the red flags, like man has so many red flags. Like man is a red flag walking. And then God's like, nah. It's like, nah, I'm going to throw it all out there. Just in case. Just in case they just, not even that they look intentionally or they look carefully, Okay, yeah, but like not like you understand, look accurately, just in case that they attempt to. That's madness, bro. That's mental. That's mental, man. That's mental. He does all these things. Hi, bro. Hi. I know that it says you're without excuse, cause like I've given everything. And I know people say, and I thought I'll make a separate video on this, but I know people say, if Jesus is real, why doesn't he just show himself? Just come and if God is real, just show yourself, appear in the sky. But he has done that. He has done that in Exodus. He appeared to the Israelites, they ran away from him. He has done that with Jesus. He came in manly form, a form you can relate to. Guess what? They killed him. So he has done all that. So it's like that's not the issue. The issue is not seeing is believing. The issue is the heart of man. Then you think about how God and Jesus gave himself. I mean, you read the book of Hebrews and you find out the qualifications of Jesus to be our savior. And you realize how overqualified he is. It's just mad, man. Give everything. Your son. Everything. Jesus, counted himself as donkey. Like he reduced he left his former glory, just draw like everything, just in case, bro. Just in case they might. God just wants to be found. Like we're playing police and thief. He just wants to be found, and it's not like he's run. And the funniest thing is that's one thing that he makes it clear. It's not even police and thief. It's like makes it clear that, and he's not far from each one of us. So he's not running away. He just wants to be seen and held, and to rest and to dwell. So it's not like he's running away from us. It's like he's right here. All you just have to do is open your eye. And then there's this line from one of my favorite artists. His name is Larry. Check him out, Larry the Dub. He goes something about Paul. Say Paul saw Jesus and then became blind, but more like he was blind from the start and now received sight. Which is the amazing thing about Paul's story too, because Paul's going to Damascus here, and I just found this out later. So he gets to Damascus, like at the gates of Damascus, and Jesus appears to him. Everybody else sees a bright light and everything, but he sees and is communicating and is talking. And what's amazing is the fact that how he responds. This is not a normal conversation. This looks like they were talking before. They were saying something, they had a conversation before, and then this is just a continuation. So Jesus talks to him like someone he knows. He says, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, who are you, Lord? Which is a funny question. To say, who are you, Lord? Meaning you've already accepted the person as a master, and then you don't know the person. Okay. He says, I am Jesus whom you're persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goats. Which is amazing, because so I checked the meaning of kick against the goats. It means like when you're battling a leash. That's amazing. So and then you check Paul's superpower. which like in his evangelism, like in his books, in his writings, especially in Hebrews, was how he was able to explain that Jesus is qualified, like Jesus is the Christ. And why that is amazing is because it just shows there that he had been seeing signs before Stephen's death, before everything. He had been seeing signs. He had been, because Paul is a very smart guy, so dots had been connecting. The Holy Spirit had been speaking to him. Hey, Jesus is the Christ. He meets all this. So he had the what's it called? He could connect the dots, but he was fighting it because of what he had already known. He was fighting it because of who he was surrounded by. He was fighting it because it can't be. It's just too good to be true. But he knew. He had seen it. The dots connected. It made sense to him. And so when Jesus came, he was like, "Who are you, Lord?" And then Jesus was like, "It's me you are persecuting. So why are you resisting when you know the truth?" And it's amazing how he was blind for 3 days. And immediately he went on to preach because he already knew what to do. He already knew. Immediately for 3 years, he went straight preaching the gospel. He already knew what to do. And that's why I understand the risk. Imagine something like that. Someone who is killing, persecuting disciples and everything. And then God is like, it's still worth it. It's still worth it. Like, even though he knows within himself, but he's fighting it because of so many other things that don't matter. And so Paul gets to a point, he says, I count it all as dung. Like, it all makes sense to me now that it's all rubbish. And that love affair is mad. When you get to that point where Jesus says, Jesus and God are like, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'll give it all. Everything else is rubbish. And you get to that point where you say, everything else is rubbish, I'll give it all for God. That's the perfect love affair. Is it affair? I don't know. It's mad, bro, it's mad. Just think about that verse, just ruminate on it. Think about it in the hope that they might grow with you. Like, share, subscribe, dear believer. And get this out there to your friends. I hope you were blessed. Thanks.